Hey guys, how are you all? I hope you all are doing well. Today we're going to see an amazing what-if story, but before we start, it's just a humble request that if you are new here, please subscribe because it actually motivates me a lot to post more. Also, the stories on my channel are fully written by me, so if you have any suggestions for what-if stories, please let me know below the comment section. Now, without any further delay, let's start. What if Rimuru was raised by demon god ANOS VOLDIGOD? The void around ANOS pressed and shimmered like a deep ocean of stars. He did not drift. He walked, each step sending quiet ripples through the silver expanse. Threads of worlds crossed and knotted around him, yet he ignored most of them. One thread tugged back, a small distortion, trying to stay hidden inside the flow. ANOS slowed. His gaze turned toward the faint tug, and the vast expanse around him seemed to hush. So he murmured, something which will dares to edit its own story. He followed the pull. The silver around him folded. Darkness rushed in, dense and still. Rock walls took shape, a cavern stretching into shadow. The air tasted thick with magic and stale dust. In the center of it all, a sphere of raging wind and magic roared and clawed at the air, pressing against an unseen boundary. A dragon sat inside that unseen boundary. Massive, golden eyes, wings cramped by the limits of the cage. Black and yellow lightning twisted around his scales like a prison storm. The dragon turned, eyes narrowing. Who dares enter the lair of the storm dragon Veldora? His voice shook the cave, a roar that cracked stone and rattled what little air remained. ANOS did not flinch. His boots touched the cavern floor with a soft sound. His hair and cloak settled. Fine red and black particles drifted from his body, like ash that refused to fall. Fumo, he said, as if considering a slightly interesting insect. The seal is crude. The presence inside it is loud. Veldora's aura surged. The storm crashed against the unseen cage, sparks of yellow and black slamming outward. Whirlwinds thrashed around him, hungry for something to destroy. They met the boundary and died. The red and black glow around ANOS did not move. The air around him stayed calm, steady, almost polite. Crude, Veldora repeated, offended. This is the unlimited imprisonment, cast by a true hero. A legendary seal. You stand before me, yet you do not kneel. You should tremble. ANOS tilted his head. Tremble, he repeated. Over this. He raised his hand. The air shifted. The cave grew very quiet. The sound of Veldora's storm dropped to a dull rumble, like someone had turned down the volume of the world. Fine red and black motes drifted from ANOS's fingers and sank into the empty air between him and the storm. The motes brushed something invisible, something that hummed with layered rules and desperate intent. Lines of magic appeared, only for a moment. Circles. Formulae. The structure of unlimited imprisonment revealed itself, hanging in the air around Veldora, as if drawn with pale light. ANOS watched it. Patterned faith, he said. Borrowed authority. Brute force instead of elegance. Someone rushed this. Veldora blinked. Wait. You can see the structure? That is cheating. ANOS ignored him. His eyes traced the lines, the connections, the weighted points where power had been pushed harder to plug a weakness. It is less a prison, he went on, and more a tantrum frozen in time. He snapped his fingers. The sound was small. The effect was not. The circles cracked. Long white fractures raced through them, cutting across the neat shapes, then across the invisible walls of the cage. The storm flared as if in panic. Yellow and black currents tried to surge outward and crush the intruder. The seal did not resist. It fell apart like a broken toy. Fragments of light scattered across the cavern and faded. The cage that had held Veldora for 300 years dissolved, leaving only the dragon and his raging aura. The storm roared free. Wind slammed into the rock, ripping chunks from the walls. Stone shards flew in all directions. Magic lightning danced, wild and hungry. The air shook. ANOS's red and black aura rose and met it. The two forces touched. The storm broke around him like water around a stone. Yellow and black currents bent, curved, and slid past his body, forced aside by that quiet, dense glow. The chaos in the cavern could not touch him. He looked at his fingers. I did not even need to adjust much, he said. Truly disappointing craftsmanship. Veldora stared. You just undid it, the dragon said slowly. You did not chant. You did not bleed. You did not even grunt. You simply looked at it and snapped. Did you think, ANOS asked, eyes lifting to meet Veldora's, that being sealed for 300 years gave you the right to look down on me, lizard? The word hung in the air. Veldora bristled. Lizard, you dare. Sit. The command was soft. It hit Veldora like a physical blow. His knees buckled. The raging storm around him spasmed and shrank, pulled tight against his scales. His body crashed down, claws gouging deep trenches in the stone floor. He glared up at ANOS, teeth bared, eyes wide. What did you do to me? I invited you to sit, ANOS said. You accepted. His gaze shifted, past the fallen dragon, past the fading scraps of foreign magic, toward the center of the cavern, where something very small shivered on bare rock. A blob of transparent blue. It trembled. Inside that little slime, a human soul curled around something dense and strange. A concept, a knot of possibility and stubborn refusal to die. It shone differently from the other souls ANOS had seen in this world. The slime tried to move. Okay, move, move, move. The thought was clumsy, but it was there. The little body twitched and flopped in place, bouncing once on the cold stone. It did not help. Why is everything so dark? Why can I not feel my hands? Where are my hands? The slime panicked quietly. His memories came in broken flashes. A crowded street. A knife. Pain near his side. Blood. The embarrassment of dying before getting a girlfriend. A friend screaming his name. Then nothing. Then this. ANOS said. You arrived. The slime froze. Wait. Someone spoke. I can hear, so I am not alone. That voice is way too calm, though. Can you hear me, human? ANOS asked. The slime tried to speak. No mouth. No tongue. Only a bubble of sound that came out as a wet gurgle. You. He stopped. Seriously. That is my voice. ANOS watched with clear amusement. Your soul is still adjusting to the new vessel, he said. You may think at me instead. That will be faster. The slime hesitated. This is absurd, he thought. I died to a random mugger, and now someone who looks like he stepped out of fashion magazine for demon lords is talking inside my whatever this is. ANOS smiled slightly. Accurate enough, he said. You will stabilize soon. In the meantime, he crouched. The red and black particles around him sank close, like they did not want to scare the tiny being on the floor. Up close, the slime could see his face. Calm eyes, sharp features, no trace of fear, even with the dragon raging behind him. Who are you? The slime thought, trying to keep his panic from spilling everywhere. ANOS VOLDIGOD, he said. The name will mean little to you yet. You are a human from another world. You died. You were chosen to reincarnate here as a monster. A slime. He said it like he was reading it from a page. The slime swallowed, or tried to. So this is real. Reincarnation. Otherworld. Monster. He glanced around with whatever counted as eyes. Darkness. Rock. A huge dragon pressed against the far side of the cave, now forced into a crouch by a single sentence. Thick magic still swam in the air. Pleased to meet you, the slime thought weakly. I guess, Veldora snorted. You talk to the slime and ignore the mighty storm dragon, he grumbled. What sort of guest are you? ANOS did not look back. I already dealt with you, he said. You are less urgent, Veldora growled. The slime bounced again in alarm. Okay, big, angry dragon. Comrade guy who snaps legendary seals like cheap locks. I have made some questionable progress compared to my old life. Relax, ANOS said. If he destroys the cave, I will fix it. If he attacks you directly, I will erase him. He said it lazily, like he was talking about cleaning up a broken plate. Veldora flinched. Erase, he repeated. Do not joke about that. ANOS finally glanced back at him. Do I sound like I am joking? Veldora closed his mouth. The storm around him shrank again. ANOS turned back to the slime. You have no name yet, he said. The system that manages this world will attempt to classify you soon. It will offer skills, titles. It will try to record you inside its script. He reached out. A warm hand covered the top of the slime's body. It did not press hard. It simply rested there, solid and strange. The slime froze again. Touch, warmth, pressure. His whole body buzzed with the sensation. Names matter, ANOS said. Once spoken, they shaped the soul. They set direction. You died once already. You will not drift nameless now. He shut his eyes for a moment. The silver thread he had followed brushed against the little soul under his hand. He could see how it had already begun to wrap around this world's rules. A human sense of justice, a wish to protect others, a fear of being useless and forgotten. A good seed. I will give you a name, ANOS said. You will grow into it. The slime started to panic again. Wait, wait, wait. Naming monsters in stories always has a cost. I remember reading that kind of thing. Is he going to weaken himself? Is something going to explode? I do not want to explode. Calm down, ANOS said. If anyone explodes, it will not be you. That did not help. Still, the slime could not pull away. The hand on his body kept him steady, like an anchor. ANOS spoke. Rimuru. The word rang in the cavern. For a moment, nothing happened. Then something hit. Power surged into the slime's body. Thick and heavy like molten metal poured into water. The slime arched without muscles, every part of him stretching and shivering. Light filled his vision, even though there was no light here to see. He could not even scream properly. Data poured through him. Language. Numbers. This world's basic rules. Information crashed and pressed against his mind, trying to settle, trying to find a place. His soul shook under the flood. He clung to it anyway. I'm not dying again. No, absolutely not. Let hurt. I'm keeping this. ANOS's hand stayed steady. The red and black particles around him thickened, forming a faint layer around the slime. They did not block the power. They guided it, smoothing some of the rough edges, slowing the worst spikes. Even so, Rimuru felt like he would tear apart. Naming complete, a cold voice said. It did not echo. It did not come from any direction. It simply existed inside the cavern, inside their minds. Species. Unique slime. Name. Rimuru Tempest. Master. ANOS VOLDIGOD. Grants. Unique skill Great Sage. Unique skill Predator. Resistances. Physical attack nullification. Pain nullification. Temperature nullification. Electric resistance. Paralysis resistance. The voice continued in its flat tone, listing traits like a bored clerk at a window. Rimuru tried to breathe, then remembered he did not have lungs. The information still crashed around inside him, but he could feel it settling, slotting into place. Wait, he thought. Great Sage. Predator. Tempest. That is my name. His mind clung to the word. Tempest. He liked the sound of it. ANOS listened for a moment, then narrowed his eyes. The voice kept talking, naming things that did not exist in his own world. System flags. Hidden conditions. Scripts that would try to move Rimuru along a fixed path. So that is how you work, he said softly. The red and black aura around him sharpened. World system, the voice began again. Registering unique individual. Adding to record of. Be silent. ANOS did not raise his voice. The words reached into the same space the voice used and squeezed. Sound cut off. The cavern went very quiet. Even Veldora's breathing seemed to hold for a moment. The faint hum of the world's background rules faltered, like a music track that skipped. Rimuru blinked. He thought. Did it just stop? Yes, ANOS said. He looked upward, as if there was something above the stone ceiling that only he could see. This world tries to write you into a script. It tags you, measures you. I am rewriting that line. He pressed his hand down a little more firmly. Red and black motes rose, then sank into Rimuru's body instead of the air. They threaded into the new skills and titles the voice had granted, weaving through the complex patterns and systems. Behind his calm face, ANOS rearranged things. Registration denied, he said. Authority rescinded. You are mine now, not the system's. Something invisible snapped. If the voice had a face, it would have frowned. Instead, it tried to speak again. Error. The word did not sound like the earlier announcements. It came broken, distorted, forced through an opening that had already shut. Unique and D. Ivid. UL cannot be record edition. The last syllable scraped and faded. Silence returned. Rimuru lay there, trembling. Did I break the world? He whispered in his head. Not yet, ANOS said. I simply told it to stay out of your way. He finally took his hand back. Rimuru felt oddly empty for a second, then realized that was just the contrast. The power inside him had not gone anywhere. It had simply stopped thrashing. He flexed, trying to move again. This time, he managed a small hop, then another. His body listened to him more easily. I did not agree to this, Veldora complained from behind them. You barge in, free me, insult my seal, call me lizard, claim the slime, then bully the voice of the world. Do you know how rare that last thing is? Yes, ANOS said. He turned slightly. Veldora's storm had shrunk to a tight field hugging his scales. Yellow and black sparks still flickered, but they no longer clawed at the cave. The dragon looked large and dangerous, yet there was a faint stiffness to his posture now, like his pride had been bruised. Listen, you, Veldora went on. Free me properly. I have a reputation. I cannot appear outside this cave after 3 centuries just to admit some guy told me to sit. ANOS studied him for a moment. Then he smiled. Very well, he said. You are free to leave this cavern. Veldora brightened. However, ANOS added, you will not. Veldora froze. What? You will stay here, ANOS said. You will watch over Rimuru. You will teach him what you know of this world. You will keep the curious away, or scare them so badly that they forget how to speak. You will remain until I decide you are no longer needed in this post. He looked at the dragon as if assigning a chore. The storm dragon Veldora, he went on, will serve as babysitter and uncle. Rimuru almost choked on nothing. Babysitter, uncle. His gaze darted from ANOS to the dragon. Even without a human face, he was sure his panic was obvious. Wait, he thought. Is that really okay? He was sealed for 300 years. He might be a little crazy. Veldora drew himself up, or tried to. The invisible weight of ANOS's presence pressed on his shoulders. I'm not a babysitter, he said, scandalized. I'm a calamity, a living disaster, a legend. You can be both, ANOS said. That is not how titles work. It is now. Veldora opened his mouth to argue again, then closed it. His eyes flicked to ANOS's hand, the same hand that had snapped the prison like dry glass, then to the spot where the voice had failed to finish its sentence. He swallowed. Fine, he muttered, but I will do it with style. The world will fear the daycare of Veldora. That sentence hurt me, Rimuru thought. Almost. He straightened and looked at the slime again. Rimuru Tempest, he said. You are reborn. You belong to my household. You will learn under my eye in Veldora's irritation. This cave is your first classroom. Rimuru tried to sound steady. Do I get a say in this? Yes, ANOS said. You may choose how fast you grow. That does not sound like a choice. It is more than most receive. Rimuru sighed inside his own head. He thought about his old life. The quiet office. The endless small compromises. The moment of stupid courage that had killed him. He thought about the warmth under ANOS's hand when the name had settled. Better than bleeding out on a sidewalk, he decided. Then please take care of me, he said. The words did not leave his mouth, but ANOS heard them anyway. Good answer, ANOS said. We begin now. He turned his head slightly. Sit, he repeated to Veldora. This time the command came with no pressure. Veldora sat anyway. ANOS looked up at the ceiling, at the world beyond it, at the system that had just lost its claim on one small slime. You try to script him, he said quietly. From this point onward, you will watch instead. The cave hummed. Far beyond it, the world's system adjusted, uneasy and blind to the new piece of its own board. Inside the cave, a tiny slime gathered himself. A dragon sulked, and a man who called himself ANOS began to plan a future that no script had written. When Rimuru woke, he could feel stone under his body. Cold, rough stone. No softness at all. He groaned in his own head. So much for gentle reincarnation. His slime body flexed anyway. The magic in the cave was thicker now that his senses had settled. Every bit of the air carried weight. Somewhere behind him, the storm dragon Veldora sulked with his wings tucked in, aura pressed tight under invisible rules. Ahead of him, ANOS stood with his back turned, looking up at the ceiling like he could see through rock. Are you awake, Rimuru? The question was simple. Kind of, Rimuru answered in his head. Still getting used to having no spine. You will adapt. ANOS glanced back. Stand. We are leaving. Leaving where? Rimuru asked. Outside. ANOS stepped toward him. You will not learn anything by rotting in a cave with a noisy dragon. Hey, Veldora rumbled. I'm sitting right here. ANOS did not bother to look. You're on babysitting duty. Guard the entrance. If anyone approaches that does not belong here, scare them until they forget their own names. That is not a flattering job description, Veldora said. You may add roaring if it helps your pride. Veldora opened his mouth, closed it again, and settled deeper on his haunches. Lightning twitched over his scales, then settled. He shot Rimuru a look that landed somewhere between annoyed and resigned. Do not get killed, slime, he said. I'm supposed to be your uncle now. It would be embarrassing. Rimuru bounced once. I will try not to die, he thought. Again, ANOS extended his hand. Cool me. I will show you your first subjects. Subjects? The word hit Rimuru harder than he expected. He rolled forward and hopped into ANOS's palm. Warmth wrapped around him once more. Red and black particles stirred, as if pleased to have him there. ANOS closed his fingers loosely, like he was holding a water balloon without fear of popping it, and walked toward the far wall. There was no door. He raised his other hand and traced a simple line in the air. Space bent. The rock shivered, then opened like someone had remembered to draw an exit that had always been there. Bright light flooded in. Rimuru flinched by instinct. His vision adjusted slowly. Trees, blue sky, fresh wind on magicules. After the thick air of the cave, the forest felt wide and loud. ANOS stepped through. The portal folded behind them without sound. Scene roster. ANOS, Rimuru. They stood in a clearing at the edge of a dense forest. The ground was uneven, covered in grass and scattered stones. Insects buzzed. The sky overhead was clear, the sun high. A faint path cut through the trees, more suggestion than a road. Rimuru took it all in with a kind of quiet awe. This is the world I got reborn into. Better than fluorescent office lights, at least. You will claim it, ANOS said. Rimuru almost jumped. Claim the sky, he asked. That seems ambitious. The sky, the earth, the people. ANOS nodded toward the trees. In this world, the strong rule. You are destined to be strong. If you do nothing, the weak will flatter you until someone braver kills them in front of you. If you rule, you decide who lives well and who does not live at all. Rimuru swallowed. I was an office worker, he muttered. I am not exactly king material. That is why I am here. Snap! The sound rolled through the silent trees. It was not loud, but the air reacted like something heavy had just shifted. Shapes jumped in the underbrush. Rimuru sensed them the moment they moved. Weak magicules compared to Veldora. Nervous, itchy aura, the kind that came from bodies that had not eaten enough, that had lived too long afraid. 6 goblins stumbled out into the clearing, weapons shaking. They were small, thin, and ragged. Wooden clubs, rusted metal scraps that once tried to be knives. Their clothes were nothing more than torn cloth. They fell to their knees. Lord Veldora, one of them stammered. No, that presence is different. Stronger. Scarier. The goblins pressed their heads to the ground. ANOS raised one eyebrow. This is the local wildlife, he said softly. Rimuru stared. These are goblins. They look worse than the word goblin sounds. One of them peeked up, then froze when he saw ANOS properly. Red eyes. Calm aura that felt like a bottomless well. Slime sitting lazily in his palm. The goblins swallowed audibly. Oh, great one, he said in a thin voice. Please have mercy on our village. The wolves are hunting us. We are weak. We have nothing left to offer but our loyalty. His shoulders shook. Rimuru felt something twist in his chest. Flash of old life. People bowing to bosses at meetings for tiny raises. The same fear, dressed in a suit. ANOS watched them without any visible pity. Rise, he said. The goblins flinched as if hit. They staggered to their feet, still not daring to look straight at him. ANOS opened his hand. Rimuru bounced down onto the grass. The goblins stared at the slime. This, ANOS said, is your king. Rimuru almost fell over. Wait, he said inside his own head. Wait, the goblins blinked. For a second, there was an awkward, empty silence. Then the first goblin dropped back to his knees. If the Great One declares it, we obey, he said. Rimuru-sama, please save us. The others followed, crying out his name like it hurt their throats. Rimuru froze. Great Sage stirred for the first time in a clear way. Notification. Situation assessment available. The voice was cool and flat. Not the voice of the world, but something inside him. A tool he could lean on if he chose. Not now, Rimuru thought. I am busy having a panic attack. Under all the fear, something else climbed up. They are desperate. They came here to beg a dragon. They fear to spare them. Now they are asking a slime. He looked up at ANOS. Is this a joke? He asked quietly. No, ANOS stepped past him. This is your first lesson in rulership. He walked toward the goblins. They trembled harder. Look at me, ANOS said. They did. Slowly. Their eyes were already wet. How long has the wolf tribe hunted you? He asked. 3 months, the leader whispered. They attack at night. We lose people every week. We pray to Veldora. No answer came. Then your presence appeared. ANOS considered that. You prayed to a prisoner, he said. You asked a chained beast to move the sky for you. That is foolish. Yet you did it anyway. He turned his head toward Rimuru. This is what a world without a king looks like. A slow bleed, begging anyone with power to glance in your direction. Rimuru felt heat crawl up his core. I'm not a king, he said. I am a slime. ANOS smiled. For now, he raised his hand again, but this time he did not snap. He opened his palm to the air, as if revealing something only he could see. The forest floor answered. Lines of red light traced themselves over the ground, spreading out from where he stood. They reached the trees, crawled up their trunks, and climbed into the sky. For a heartbeat, the entire clearing looked like a sketch on glass. Then it changed. The trees bent and moved aside, not cut, just relocated roots and all. The earth itself reshaped, rising to form walls. The scattered stones buried themselves and then rose again, black and smooth, as if forged in a forge that did not exist here. The goblins screamed, then clung to each other. Rimuru stared as the little clearing transformed. Walls of black iron grew from the ground, tall and straight. They formed towers with clean edges and deep windows. A gate took shape, huge and solid. Power pulsed through every bar, every support beam. In moments, the shabby forest opening had become a fortress that could have housed an army. Rimuru had seen pictures of castles in his past life. Tourist spots in Europe. This made those look like toy sets. ANOS relaxed his hand. Ibis, he said. Creation magic. This is a fraction of what you will learn. The goblins stared up at the walls with wide eyes. Oh, great king, the leader whispered to Rimuru. You summoned a demon god. No, ANOS said. Your king summoned me once. I arrived. Now I build for him. Rimuru bounced forward, still shocked. This is too much, he said. We could have started with, I do not know, a fence. A fence does not make a statement, ANOS replied. You're not here to whisper that you exist. You are here to announce it. He gestured at the goblins. You now live here, he told them. Serve Rimuru. He will protect you. In return, you will follow his laws. If you fail, he will decide what to do with you. The goblins dropped to their knees again, crying openly now. We will serve, they said. We swear to Rimuru-sama. We swear on our lives. Rimuru felt dizzy. I did not ask for this, he thought. You did when you accepted my name, ANOS said mildly. Power is never free. Scene roster update. ANOS, Rimuru, Goblin Leader, Goblin Group. The rest of the day blurred into hard work and constant talking. Goblins ran in and out, carrying their pitiful belongings into the new fortress. ANOS guided them with short instructions, never explaining twice. Rimuru bounced along behind him, trying to look like he understood what was happening. By evening, the sun had dipped low. Inside the black walls, torchlight flickered and crude furniture filled wide halls that had not existed that morning. Rimuru sat on a low chair in what ANOS called the main hall. The chair had been shaped to fit a slime, which offended him a little. I get a throne shaped like a jelly dessert, he muttered. ANOS stood nearby, arms loosely crossed. A long black table stretched between them and the goblin elders. Plates of food had appeared a moment ago when ANOS waved a hand. Steam rose from dishes that smelled way better than anything Rimuru had eaten as a human. Mushroom gratin, ANOS said when he caught Rimuru staring. My mother used to make this. I improved it. Rimuru almost started crying at the smell alone. You can cook, he said. I can do many things, ANOS answered. Sit. Eat. You cannot rule on an empty stomach. Rimuru hopped onto the chair more properly and focused on the plate in front of him. It was strange swallowing food as a slime, but Predator handled the physical part while his mind just enjoyed the barrier between hunger and satisfaction breaking. Warmth spread through him. He let out a quiet sound of relief. Good, ANOS said. The goblins ate slowly, like they could not believe food would remain if they moved too quickly. They kept glancing up at ANOS and Rimuru, as if expecting both of them to vanish. Rimuru watched them, then turned his gaze to ANOS. "What am I supposed to do with them?" he asked in a low voice. ANOS did not pretend not to hear. "Rule them," he said. "I know that is the job title," Rimuru said. "I mean the details. I have never led anyone. Not even a club, forget a village." ANOS took a bite, chewed, and swallowed. "Ask them what they need," he said. "Then decide which needs matter." "That sounds simple when you say it," Rimuru muttered. "Most things are simple," ANOS replied. "Weak people make them complicated to excuse their lack of will." That stung a little. Rimuru dragged his gaze away and forced himself to look at the goblins. "Tell me about the wolves," he said. "How many? How often?" They straightened, startled that the slime was addressing them at all. As they talked, Rimuru listened. Great Sage quietly processed numbers in the back of his mind. 30 wolves. Night attacks. No strategy, just brute force. Goblins who had never trained. No weapons worth mentioning. Rimuru felt his old office brain line up bullet points. "So we need to break the wolf tribe," he said, "and train the goblins so they do not break again." "Correct," ANOS said. "Tomorrow we begin." Scene roster. ANOS, Rimuru, Goblin Watchers. The next morning, the forest outside the fortress trembled. ANOS stood in a clearing within sight of the black walls. His coat moved only when he wished. Rimuru was a short distance away, facing him. The goblins watched from behind a sturdy line of trees, curious and slightly terrified. Rimuru could feel tension in his core. "So the idea is that I fight you," he said. "Again, feels ambitious. Diminish yourself in private if you must," ANOS said. "Do not do out loud. It sets a poor example." Rimuru sighed. "Right. Motivational speech." Got it. He focused. Magic gathered inside his body. Information particles moved in patterns that felt like he had known them forever, even though this was the first time he aimed them with intent. Waterblade, he thought. The spell formed. A sharp stream of water compressed into a thin slice. It shot forward toward ANOS at high speed, the air hissing around it. ANOS did not raise his hand. He just looked at it. The water turned to steam before it reached him. No flashy effect. No loud sound. One moment it existed, the next it did not. Rimuru stared. "That is cheating," he said. "You focused on the spell," ANOS answered, "not on what you wished to achieve. You relied on the pattern the world gave you, rather than your own will." "Pretty sure the pattern was meant to cut things," Rimuru said. "You cannot blame me for expecting it to do its job." ANOS walked toward him, slow and steady. "Again," he said. Rimuru tried other spells. Water, wind, simple attacks he had gained without the voice announcing them. Every time, ANOS erased them, sometimes with a glance, sometimes with a bored flick of his fingers. Nothing could even ruffle his hair. Sweat built up inside Rimuru's perception. Not real sweat, but the same feeling from his old body. The sense that he was working harder than his results showed. "Is there a point where you do not just delete my work?" he asked. "Yes," ANOS said. "When you stop letting the world tell you what your magic is." Rimuru groaned. "That is a very vague teacher line." "Good." ANOS stopped a short distance away. "Now we move to something more interesting. I will give you a spell that suits you." He lifted his hand. Black flame blossomed above his palm. It did not flicker like normal fire. It burned steady and quiet, drinking in the light instead of giving it. Heat rolled off it in waves that warped the air. Even the goblins behind the trees stepped back. ANOS watched the flame for a moment, then closed his fingers. The fire vanished. "This is Geograze," he said. "Hellfire of destruction. It burns not only what you touch, but the reason it exists. Used carelessly, it will erase forests, cities, or small worlds. You will learn to call it without becoming a hazard." Rimuru swallowed hard. "I'm starting to see why you do not praise mediocrity," he said. "Correct," ANOS answered. He extended his hand toward Rimuru. "Reach out," he said. "Touch the idea of that flame, not the spell. Remember how it felt. Heavy, quiet, final. Your magic will respond." Rimuru closed his eyes. Inside his core, magicules stirred. He reached for the feeling that had rolled off the black flame. Not the pattern, not the details, just the concept. burning that nothing could argue with. His power answered. Black fire sputtered into existence in front of him, small and unstable. It jumped like a nervous animal, trying to break free. Heat slammed into Rimuru's perception. The grass beneath it crisped instantly. The nearest tree trunk began to blacken. Too wide, ANOS said. Narrow your will. You are letting your fear spread with the flame. I am trying, Rimuru gritted out. It is like holding a live power cable with bare hands. Then grow thicker skin. The flame flared. Wind rushed through the clearing as the spell tried to escape in every direction. The goblin screamed. Master, Great Sage said inside his mind, voice sharper than before. Danger to surrounding area is high. Suggest immediate cancellation. I'm kind of busy not exploding, Rimuru snapped back. The flame leaped toward the trees. ANOS sighed. Enough. He clicked his tongue. The black fire froze. Then it shrank, pulled inward by an invisible hand, and compressed into a single point. That point sank into Rimuru's slime body instead of the world. He gasped in his mind as the heat moved inside him, concentrated and intense. Feel that, ANOS said. That is where it belongs. You are the container. The world is not. Rimuru panted, even though he did not need air. Are you sure this is training and not attempted arson? He asked. If I wanted to burn the forest, we would not be having this conversation, ANOS replied. Again, by the time the sun began to lower, Rimuru could call a small, steady geo-graze and keep it from lashing out at everything around him. His metaphorical muscles ached. His mind felt raw, like he had rubbed it against sandpaper. He was also smiling. He had never felt this much progress in a single day in his old life. ANOS watched him with a faint nod. Acceptable, he said. Barely. Wow, Rimuru said. High praise. The goblins whispered among themselves, clearly impressed despite having no idea what any of this meant. Rimuru let the last flame sink back into his core and turned to ANOS. What now? He asked. Now, ANOS said. We wait for the next lesson to walk through your gate. Scene roster. Rimuru, Goblin Guards, Shizue Group, later ANOS. The next lesson arrived 2 days later. Rimuru sat on the fortress wall, looking out at the forest. The goblins had grown, used to the black iron towers. Smoke drifted from chimneys. Voices echoed in the courtyard below. Great Sage murmured quietly once in a while, offering small bits of data. Rimuru was still getting used to having a built-in assistant. He almost joked about company benefits, then stopped when he sensed a group approaching. Someone is coming, he said. Goblin guards on the wall stiffened. In the distance, figures moved between the trees. For humans. One woman in a mask and armor that looked worn but well cared for. 3 adventurers in lighter gear followed close behind her. Rimuru narrowed his awareness. The woman in front burned. Not literally. Not yet. But there was a heat inside her that felt familiar in a bad way. It reminded him of the hellfire he had just learned to control, but filtered through something else. A spirit. Unknown party detected. Great Sage said. Significant heat source within the masked individual. I noticed, Rimuru thought. He hopped down from a wall and slid along the inner side until he reached the gate. Open, he called. The goblins heaved the heavy gate aside. The humans outside flinched at the sight of the black fortress, clearly not expecting anything like it. By the gods, one of the adventurers muttered. This was a forest 2 weeks ago. Right, stay close, the masked woman said. Her voice was calm, but there was a tired edge to it. Rimuru rolled out to greet them. Welcome, he said in his easy tone, to the village of Rimuru Tempest. Please do not stab anyone. The woman stopped. She looked down at the little blue slime sitting calmly in front of a fortress that looked like a demon castle. Her shoulders twitched. I was told this was a goblin village, she said. Attacked by wolves. It was, Rimuru said. Now it is this. We upgraded. One of the adventurers, a young man with a sword and too much curiosity, stepped forward. That is a slime, he said. It talks. Rimuru tried not to sound offended. Rimuru Tempest, he repeated. King of this place, apparently. And you are. The masked woman reached up and touched the edge of her mask. Shizu, she said. Shizue Izawa. I am here to investigate the disturbance caused by a dragon and a strange magic signature. Rimuru felt his core stutter. Shizue. He knew that name, not from this life, but from stories he had read in his old world. The girl summoned during the war. The one who carried a fire spirit. He stared a bit too long. Is something wrong? She asked. No, he said quickly. Just, you remind me of someone. Someone from where? She asked. Far away, he answered. The heat inside her flared for a heartbeat, as if reacting to something in his words. She placed a hand over her chest. Ifrit is restless, great sage reported. Host condition is unstable. Rimuru forced himself to focus. Come inside, he said. You can rest, and we can talk without worrying about random wolves chewing on your boots. Shizue studied him for a moment, then nodded. Very well, she said. Lead the way, Rimuru Dano. Inside the fortress, goblins hurried to make space. Shizue's group looked around with open curiosity and some fear. Are you sure this is safe? The archer whispered. If it wanted us dead, we would already be dead, Shizue said. Relax. That was not comforting, but it was true. Rimuru led them to a large room near the center of the fortress. Tables were already set. ANOS sat at the far end, as if he had been there the whole time, which he probably had. He rested his chin on one hand and watched the newcomers enter. Shizue stiffened. Her eyes, visible through the mask's holes, widened just a fraction. The air around ANOS pressed down for a moment, acknowledging her instincts. Rimuru felt a weird mix of pride and nerves. ANOS, he said. This is Shizue. She came for the dragon. ANOS studied her. A Japanese soul in a foreign shell, he said. Carrying a fire spirit she did not ask for. Shizue's hand tightened on her sword hilt. How do you know that? She asked. I look, ANOS said simply. He raised his gaze a little higher, as if staring at something above her head. Ifrit reacted. The spirit pushed against Shizue's body from the inside. Its presence, once a quiet pressure, now a hot claw. Her breath hitched. Stop, she whispered under her breath. Her control slipped. Flame burst out around her, sudden and violent. The air in the room turned hot. The goblins yelped and ducked. One of the adventurers drew his sword in panic. Ifrit roared, voice layered over Shizue's. Who dares look down on me? The spirit shouted. I am the flame that devours worlds. ANOS did not stand. His eyes sharpened. Sit, he said. The word hit the spirit as hard as it had hit Veldora. The flames around Shizue flickered and bent. They did not vanish, but they shrank back enough that she could stand without burning the nearest goblin alive. Rimuru moved without thinking. He rolled between Shizue and the others, forming a barrier even though he knew it meant nothing against this kind of fire. Rimuru, great sage, said. Hostile spirit is fully active. Suggest extreme caution. No kidding, Rimuru answered. ANOS rose slowly now. Rimuru, he said. Do not use predator. Rimuru looked back, startled. If I eat him, problem solved, he said. Eating him is too easy, ANOS replied. You do not learn from easy. Dominate him. Crush his will. Make him kneel without hiding behind a convenient devourability. Rimuru stared at him. That is not very reassuring. Good, ANOS said. Fear will keep you from becoming lazy. Now, turn around and face him. Rimuru turned. Ifrit glared at him from inside Shizue's burning outline. The fire spirit's eyes were pure rage. The flames lashed, licking at stone and air. You are in my way, slime, Ifrit snarled. Step aside. That man looked into me. I will burn him. Rimuru's core pulsed. He remembered Geo Gray's. The weight of that fire compared to this one. He remembered the goblins begging in the dirt. He remembered ANOS's voice explaining that a king did not ask permission to protect his people. He took a breath out of habit. Shut up, he said. Ifrit snarled louder. You dare? Yeah, Rimuru said. I dare. ANOS's voice slid into his mind. Remember the flame, he said. Not the spell. The idea. Burning that does not move until you wish it to. Turn that idea into your gaze. Rimuru frowned. My gaze, he repeated. He focused on his sense of sight. It was strange being a slime and thinking about eyes, but he had a sense of direction, of focus, of things being in front of him or behind. In that focus, he gathered power. Not Geo Graze itself, but the same concept. Heavy fire. Quiet, sure, final. His body answered. A strange pressure formed behind what should be his eyes. His field of view sharpened. as if lines in the world had been redrawn with ink. Great sage, he thought. Can I copy the way ANOS looks at things? Analysis complete, the skill said. Duplicating structure of target's gaze. Creating derivative function. Temporary name, demon eye. Heat rolled into his vision. The world shifted slightly. Rimuru stared at Ifrit. The spirit hesitated. His flames, wild and messy, soon felt a heavier presence pressing down on them. A different fire. Not loud. Not chaotic. Absolute. What are you? Ifrit asked more quietly. Rimuru Tempest, he said. Student of ANOS VOLDIGOD. King of this place. Get out of Shizue. Ifrit laughed, but there was less force in it. She is my vessel, he said. Her soul is bound to me. Without me, she dies. Rimuru flinched. He had read that too, back when all of this had been fiction. He knew what Shizue's fate should be. He glanced at her. Her breathing was rough. Her eyes fought to focus. Sweat ran down her face under the mask. ANOS's voice slid into his mind again, calm as ever. Dominate him, he repeated. Do not discuss terms. Do not beg. This is your first spirit. He will either kneel or die. Rimuru swallowed. He turned back to Ifrit and pulled more of that heavy, quiet fire into his eyes. The pressure in the room changed. The goblins dropped to their knees without understanding why. The adventurers felt their hearts pound, unable to look away from the tiny slime in front of them. Even Shizue's body reacted, her knees buckling as the soul inside her fought two different forces. Ifrit roared and tried to swell. His flames rose to the ceiling, smashing against the walls of the fortress. ANOS let it go this time. Hold, he told Rimuru. Rimuru did. His demon eyes burned. They were not as absolute as ANOS's, but they carried his intent. Not to destroy, not here. To crush arrogance. To press until obedience was the only choice. Ifrit's flames began to tremble. You are nothing but a newborn slime, the spirit said, voice cracking. How dare you look at me like that? I'm the heir of someone who calls dragons lizards, Rimuru said softly. You are not special. Ifrit's fire wavered. Rimuru pushed harder. His own body shook. The strain of keeping that pressure focused was worse than the Geo Gray's training. His core felt like it was grinding down. Come on, he thought. Break. Ifrit felt it too. His flame shrank, collapsing inward against his will. He tried to flare again, but every attempt met the same heavy gaze. He dropped to one knee inside Shizue's inner world. Outside, the flames around her body dropped. The air cooled enough that the goblins stopped choking. Ifrit bowed his head. I submit, he hissed. For now, good enough, Rimuru said. He loosened his focus. The pressure in the room lifted. His demon eyes dimmed, but the structure remained in his soul, ready to be used again. Shizue sagged. Rimuru moved forward quickly to catch her. His slime body spread under her weight, cushioning her fall. Her mask rattled as her head rested against him. Sorry, Rimuru said in a rush. That must have hurt. Her eyes opened slowly. That power, she whispered. What are you really? A slime who got adopted by the wrong demon king, Rimuru said. Long story. Her lips twitched. Ifrit, she said weakly, speaking inward now. Do you understand? He is worse than the original demon. Ifrit muttered in her inner world. I will stay quiet. She let out a shaky breath. Thank you, she said to Rimuru. I thought I would lose control completely. Rimuru felt his core ache from strain. His metaphorical hand shook. He still managed a light tone. Any time, he said. It is kind of my job now. ANOS stepped closer. Not bad, he said. You forced him to kneel without taking the easy path. Rimuru glanced up. You sound almost impressed, he said. Do not let it go to your head, ANOS replied. We are not finished. Shizue coughed. Blood stained the edge of her mask. Rimuru stiffened. Hey, he said. Are you okay? No, she answered simply. My time is almost up. The room quieted. Even the goblins who did not understand the details could feel the weight of that sentence. Rimuru looked from her to ANOS. You can heal her, he said. It was not even a question. Yes, ANOS said. Then do it. No. The refusal landed like a blade. Rimuru stared. What do you mean no? He demanded. You just turned a forest into a fortress and erased a prison that lasted for centuries. Healing one person should be easy for you. Death is easy for me, ANOS said. Stopping it is easier. That is not the point. He stepped closer until he stood right beside them. Shizue looked up at him, eyes tired but aware. You understand, he said to her. She nodded slowly. I have been living on borrowed time, she said, ever since I was summoned. The spirit kept my body moving while it ate at me from the inside. Even if you remove him, there's not much left to save. Rimuru shook his head. That is still better than nothing, he said. We could find a way. Learn new magic. There must be something. Listen, ANOS said. His voice dropped, not louder but heavier. A king does not cling to what cannot be kept. Death is the final lesson. To prolong her suffering because you are afraid of losing her would be cowardice. You do not help a flower by forcing it to bloom forever. Rimuru's chest hurt. That is a nice line, he said, his voice rough. It still sounds like an excuse. Of course it does, ANOS said. You are still young. He knelt so that he was on the same level as Rimuru and Shizue. Rimuru, he said. Hold her hand. Rimuru hesitated. Why, he asked. Because she is dying, ANOS said. And she does not need to do that alone. You wish to be king. You will watch people die under your rule. If you are too cowardly to be in the room when it happens, you have no right to power. Shizue chuckled softly. He is harsh, she said, but he is not wrong. Her hand lifted a little, shaky and thin. Rimuru swallowed hard. He shifted, forming a small extension of his slime body that mimicked a hand. It was clumsy, but it wrapped around her fingers with gentle pressure. Her skin was hot and fragile. Sorry, he whispered. This should not be your ending. It is fine, she said. I was supposed to die a long time ago. I wanted to see this world a little more. I did. I met good students. And now I met a strange king and his terrifying father. ANOS's mouth twitched at that. Rimuru's vision blurred inside. He had not known Shizue in this life, but his old memories of her story sat heavy. Seeing her here, real and close, hit him in a way he did not expect. You could come with us, he said. We have a new village. You could teach kids again. You do not have to just stop. She smiled under the mask. Her eyes softened. I wanted that too, she said. In another life, her breathing grew shallower. Ifrit, she murmured inwardly. One last favor. Do not fight them. The spirit stayed quiet. ANOS watched, expression steady. If you change your mind, Rimuru said to him. If you decide to help, I will not be mad. ANOS shook his head. This is her choice, he said. Respect it. Rimuru bit back a retort. He focused on Shizue instead. Her hand grew lighter in his. The fire inside her, once wild and dangerous, now flickered calmly. Rimuru, she said. Yeah, please, she said. When I am gone, let nothing of Ifrit hurt anyone again. If you must, eat me. Carry my flame so it can do some good. Tears finally spilled from Rimuru's inner sense. He was glad he did not have eyes right now. Okay, he said. I promise. She let out a slow breath. Thank you, she whispered. Her fingers went slack. The last heat in her body faded. Silence fell. The goblins bowed their heads. The adventurers stood frozen, eyes wide and wet. Even Ifrit stayed silent, his presence dim inside a vessel that no longer supported him. Rimuru clung to her hand that was no longer holding back. He did not sob out loud. There was a tight, burning knot inside him that did not know how to release. ANOS waited a few breaths, then spoke. She is gone, he said. What will you do now? Rimuru looked up slowly. His voice shook, but his eyes felt clear. Honor her wish, he said. He took a step back and let her body rest gently on the stone floor. His slime form climbed over her, covering her chest, her face, her arms. It felt wrong and right at the same time. Predator stirred. Ready, great sage said. Do it, Rimuru whispered. Flames rose, not from Ifrit's rage this time, but from Rimuru's own power. They were warm and golden at first, wrapping around Shizue like a blanket. Then they deepened, turning red at the edges, then darker, hints of the black fire he had learned from ANOS. The flames did not burn the floor. They only touched her. Her body dissolved slowly, not violently. It was like watching paper sink into water, fibers unwinding and drifting away. The mask melted last, the metal gleaming for a moment before fading into light. Inside his core, something new settled. Heat, sorrow, a faint echo of a sword swinging with purpose. Memories that were not his own. A young girl watching a world burn. A teacher laughing with children. Rimuru shook. The flames swirled around him as he absorbed them, turning his whole body into a moving fire for a moment. Then they sank inward and vanished. When the light cleared, Rimuru sat there, breathing hard out of habit. He could feel the human form blueprint sitting inside him now, waiting to be used. That was not just her body, ANOS said quietly. You ate her past, her regrets, her fire. You took on her weight. Rimuru's voice came out rough. I know, he said. Good, ANOS replied. That means you will not waste it. There was a long silence. Then ANOS straightened. Stand, he said. Rimuru blinked. What? Stand, ANOS repeated. On 2 legs. She gave you that chance. Take it. Rimuru hesitated. Great Sage spoke up. Human form transformation available, the skill said. Execute now. Rimuru closed his metaphorical eyes and accepted. His body changed. The slime shape stretched. Bone grew where there had been none. Muscles wrapped around that new frame. Skin formed. Hair sprouted. Nerves connected. For a moment, the sensation was overwhelming. He felt the weight of a head, the pull of gravity on arms and legs. Air filled lungs. A heart beat in his chest, fast and shaky. He stumbled. ANOS reached out and caught his shoulder before he could fall. Rimuru looked down. Hands, pale skin, fingers that shook as he flexed them. Feet in simple boots, granted by the transformation. A body roughly the size of a young teenager, wearing clothes that mirrored Shizue's but adjusted to his own frame. He lifted one hand higher and stared at it. It feels strange, he said. His voice sounded different, higher, with a faint echo of Shizue's tone. It should, ANOS said. You are alive in a new way. Rimuru turned to look at the spot where Shizue had been. There was nothing left but a faint warmth on the stone. He swallowed. I will not forget you, he said quietly. ANOS watched his face. This, he said, is what power is for. Not just building castles or burning enemies. It is for carrying the weight of those who cannot go further. You took on a burden. Act like someone worthy of that trust. Rimuru nodded slowly. His hands still shook, but there was a new steadiness in his chest under the grief. He stood a little straighter. Outside, the goblins would soon learn that their king now walked on 2 legs. The wolves would still come. The world would still be dangerous. But in this room, for a moment, there was only a boy, a demon king, and the quiet echo of a lesson paid for with a life. Rimuru closed his new human eyes, took a deep breath, and let it out. Understand, he said. ANOS's expression softened by a fraction. Good, he said. Class has just begun. Rimuru ran through the center of Tempest with 3 goblins struggling behind him, each hugging a crate of vegetables that was almost bigger than they were. The air smelled like stew, roasted meat, and smoke from fresh fire pits. Voices overlapped all through the streets. Goblins shouted to each other as they moved tables. Direwolves padded past with barrels tied to their backs. Kijin walked through it all like it was normal, carrying whole tree trunks for makeshift poles. It was loud, busy, alive, exactly what he wanted. Careful with that, Rimuru called back. If you drop those tomatoes, Shine's going to cry, and then I will have to deal with it. The first goblin, Rigger, puffed out his cheeks and tightened his grip. We will not drop them, Rimuru-sama, he said. We swear. The second goblin tripped on a stone and barely kept his feet. Mostly, Rimuru muttered. He reached the central square and stopped. The goblins crashed to a halt beside him. The square had changed a lot in a short time. Black iron walls framed the open space on all sides, but there were banners now. Bright cloth hung from hooks, fluttering in the wind. Long tables stood in rows, already stacked with plates and cups. Goblins ran between them with bowls of stew. Kids chased each other between benches. Direwolves landed tables, tails thumping. Cheyenne stood near the biggest cauldron, stirring with a ridiculous wooden spoon that was almost a staff. She spotted Rimuru and waved the spoon at him. There you are, she said. Stop running around and let people see their king looking all cool. Rimuru put a hand to his chest. I am carrying food, he said. That is peak king behavior. Cheyenne grinned. Her hair was tied up, and there was already a smear of sauce on her cheek. She wore her usual outfit with an apron thrown over it. The apron had a little slime symbol stitched near the chest. You try not to stare at that too long. She waved at the goblins behind him. Set those down over there, she ordered. And no snacking until I say so. The goblins hurried to obey. Rimuru walked closer. Everything ready, he asked. As ready as it gets, Cheyenne said. The first trade guest from the human kingdom arrived today, remember. I'm not going to embarrass you. You say that, Rimuru said. Then I remember the last time you tried to cook meat without supervision. She smacked his shoulder with the flat of the spoon. That was early days, she said. Also, no one died. They could not. The stew tried to kill death itself, Rimuru said. She laughed and leaned in a little. You look better as a human, she said, voice softer. I can finally grab you without feeling like I am about to crush jelly. Her hand landed on his arm. Rimuru felt the contact more than he expected. Warm fingers, strong grip. His new body heat rose a little in his face. He was glad his hair fell forward to hide it. I was a very handsome slime, he said. You were a very squishy slime, she answered. Handsome is new. He coughed. Anyway, he said, desperate to change the subject. Where is Ernest? Cheyenne tilted her head toward one of the walls. Up there, she said, watching everything like some kind of judge. Rimuru followed her gaze. ANOS stood on the wall, arms folded, coat moving in the wind only when it felt like it. From that height, he could see the entire square and half the forest beyond. His red eyes scanned slowly across the busy scene. He met Rimuru's gaze and gave a tiny nod. Rimuru nodded back. Is he ever going to relax in public? Rimuru asked. Probably not, Cheyenne said. That would break the image. You relax for him. Feels like that is the opposite of how it should be, Rimuru muttered. Still, he could not help smiling a little. He had held Shizue's hand while she died. He had eaten her body in her flame. He had woken up feeling like his core had been peeled open and filled with someone else's memories. Since then, things had moved fast. ANOS had pushed training even harder. Rimuru had learned to walk, fight, and cast with a human body, then shift back to slime when he wanted. The goblins had grown stronger under Kijin guidance. The fortress had turned into a small city. They had decided, together, that they needed a celebration. A harvest festival, the goblins called it. A way to give thanks that no one was starving or hiding from wolves every night. The fact that it also made Tempest look like a proper nation in front of human guests was a neat bonus. Rimuru drew in a breath. Fresh bread, meat, spices, sweat, smoke, laughter. This is what we are protecting, he thought. Great Sage shifted in his mind. External visitors from the direction of Falmouth detected, the voice said. Estimated arrival time, 10 minutes. Rimuru blinked. Right on schedule, he said out loud. Cheyenne looked at him. Great Sage, she guessed. Yeah, Rimuru said. Human guests are almost here. She rolled her shoulders. Then I will go greet them, she said. You keep the big picture with ANOS-sama. You sure? Rimuru asked. I can handle the talk. You do not have to stand in front. She smiled. I want to do it, she said. You gave me this job. Let me show you I deserve it. There was no joke in her eyes now. Only steady fire. Rimuru felt his chest tug. All right, he said. Take Rigor and a few others. Stay inside the outer barrier. Cheyenne nodded. I know, she said. I am not going to do anything stupid. She reached up quickly, grabbed his collar, and pulled him down before he could react. Her lips brushed his cheek in a fast, clumsy kiss. Heat shot through his face. Cheyenne, he yelped. She stepped back, cheeks pink. For luck, she said. Do your king stuff. I will be back before you finish one serious conversation. She did not wait for him to answer. She whistled for the goblins, grabbed a pack of empty baskets, and jogged toward the gate with her little group at her heels. Rimuru stood frozen for a second. Great Sage cleared its throat. Heart rate elevated, it said. Do you wish to log this as a health issue? No, Rimuru snapped. Shut up. He looked up at ANOS again. The Demon King watched him, one eyebrow slightly raised. Rimuru groaned. Do not say anything, he called. ANOS's mouth twitched. I did not, ANOS answered. Yet, the Falmouth envoys stood on the hill, just outside Tempest's outer barrier, and try not to stare too hard at the black iron fortress that should not exist. The lead priest tugged at his white gloves and leaned on his staff. This place reeks of demons, he said. Beside him, a man in fine clothes and a heavy cloak adjusted his ring and squinted. We knew that, the man said. That is why we are here. His name was Edmaris, King of Falmouth. He had insisted on leading the delegation himself, partly to save face, partly because he did not trust his own people. Behind them stood mages and knights in neat rows, already in armor, even though this was supposed to be a trade talk. Their eyes were hard. The priest turned his gaze to the shimmering air in front of them. An invisible wall stood between them and the gate. He could not see it, but he could feel it. Holy sense told him something wrapped the city like a shell. Not a normal barrier. Something deeper. His first attempts to probe, it had been slapped aside like gnats. He did not like that feeling at all. "Can you break it?" Edmaris asked. "Not by force," the priest said. "But we do not need to." "Look," he pointed. The gate creaked open. A small party walked out. At the front, Cheyenne strode with her usual confidence, purple hair shining in the light. Rigger and half a dozen goblins walked behind her with baskets over their shoulders. They stopped a short distance from the envoys. Cheyenne smiled. "Welcome to Tempest," she called. "I am Cheyenne, secretary to Rimuru Tempest. Our king thanks you for your interest in trade." The priest frowned. "Secretary," he repeated. "You look like a soldier." "I could be both," Cheyenne said. "You must be the Falmouth envoy. Thank you for coming all this way. We have food ready if you wish to eat while we talk." Her tone was smooth, almost formal. Rigger stared at her in open admiration. Edmaris stepped forward. "We appreciate the welcome," he said. "The Kingdom of Falmouth always seeks new trade partners. It is very generous of you to open your lands." Cheyenne nodded. "We believe everyone benefits when there is fair trade," she said. "You give us things we cannot make. We give you things you do not have. Simple." The priest's eyes narrowed. "That barrier," he said. "Why do you hide your town behind such a wall if you believe in peace?" "Because the world is not peaceful," Cheyenne said. "But we are not hiding. You're standing right there." She kept her tone light, but there was steel underneath. The priest forced a smile. "My superiors will need to see the town itself before any treaty," he said. "Of course," Cheyenne said. "You can come in once the king gives the word. For now, we can bring samples and talk terms." "Unacceptable," the priest said. Edmaris lifted a hand. "Peace," he said. "There is no need to rush. We will camp nearby and wait for the right time." He turned a smile on Cheyenne. "Please tell your king that we wish him health," he said. "We will bring him a gift soon." Cheyenne bowed her head. "I will tell him," she said. She gave a sharp signal. Rigger and the other goblins began unloading baskets. They set down fresh bread and fruit between the groups, like a little trade stall on the grass. The air tension eased a little. It did not vanish. The priest stepped back to his people. His smile dropped the moment his back turned. "Prepare the ritual circle," he whispered. "We will not waste time with real trade." Knights and mages moved. Small crystals came out of hidden pouches. Holy symbols shone at their throats. Quiet chanting began, low and steady. Lines of light traced themselves in the grass. Cheyenne frowned and turned to Rigger. "Do you feel that?" she asked. He nodded slowly. "Something is moving," he said, "but I cannot tell what." The barrier behind them hummed quietly. It was an ANOS construct. Powerful, silent, tuned to his will. It wrapped the city and its people in layers of protection. Out here, they were one step beyond that safety. "Rigger," Cheyenne said, "tell the others to back up." Slowly, toward the gate. He did not argue. He waved his hand. The goblins shifted their baskets and started to move. They did not get far. Light snapped up around them. Holy magic erupted, forming a dome that cut them off from the gate and from the Falmouth camp in one instant. It was thin but dense, like spun glass made of mana. Cheyenne's head snapped around. "What is this?" she shouted. The priest smiled. "A precaution," he said. "You understand. Dealing with monsters is risky." Cheyenne put a hand on the hilt of her weapon. "You said trade," she said. "You bring a cage instead." "We bring judgment," the priest said. "The church will not allow a monster nation to grow unchecked. Your existence insults our God." He lifted his staff. White fire gathered at the tip. Cheyenne moved without thinking. "Rigger, take cover," she yelled. The first blast of holy light slammed into the inner side of the dome. The force burned the air. Goblins screamed and dove for the ground. Cheyenne darted in front of them and crossed her arms. Her body flared with magic. She called on everything Rimuru had given her, every boost from his naming. The light still hurt. It slammed into her and drove her to one knee. Smoke rose from her arms. Her teeth ground together. "Is that all?" she forced out. The priest's smile widened. You are strong for a beast, he said. It means killing you will send a better message. More knights stepped forward. Swords glowed with holy enchantments. Arrows tipped with light appeared in the hands of archers. Rigor crawled to Shine's side. Shine-sama, he said, voice shaking. We must get back. Master ANOS can break this. Shine looked at the barrier. She could see the city through it. The black towers, the banners, people moving. From this side, it felt far away. She clenched her jaw. Rigor, she said, get everyone behind me. No matter what happens, do not run alone. He looked like he wanted to argue. He saw her expression and swallowed.